Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Steven here with Team Euphoric, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the general ELDOA exercise to help alleviate pain associated with spinal stenosis. Spinal stenosis is a pathological narrowing of the spinal canal or intervertebral foramina. Most commonly, it's going to be occurring in the cervical and lumbar regions. This constriction, it can impinge on the spinal cord or the exiting nerve roots. And when that happens, it can lead to several neurological and mechanical symptoms, such as neurogenic claudication or lumbar stenosis, which can manifest as activity-related leg pain, heaviness, or cramping that improves with spinal flexion. It can also manifest as radicular pain, which can present itself as dermatomal shooting, pain, or paresthesia, and also numbness along the corresponding compressed nerve roots. It could also present as motor deficits, such as weakness with dorsiflexion or an abnormal gait pattern, and sensory changes such as vibration or impaired proprioception. Additionally, you can experience some autonomic nervous system dysfunction, such as bowel or bladder dysfunction. To treat spinal stenosis, the general ELDOA is a terrific exercise. And to set up, you're going to be in a supine position, meaning you're going to be laying down on your back. And unlike the other ELDOA exercises where you maintain a static position, the general ELDOA is going to be performed dynamically. So we're going to go ahead, lay down on our back. And for this one right over here, with one leg, we want to flex the hip and knee and grab a hold of it with the opposite arm. We're going to do this to maintain retroversion of the pelvis or a posterior pelvic tilt. Then, from this position right over here, with the hip and knee that is flexed, we're going to go into dorsiflexion by pointing the toes toward our head, and then eversion by pointing the sole of our foot away from our body. With the leg that is straight, we want maximum extension of the knee. And then at the ankle, we want pseudo-inversion. Pseudo-inversion meaning we're going to be doing a combination of dorsiflexion with inversion. And then we want to go into maximum medial rotation of the femur or the thigh. From this position right over here, with the opposite arm of the leg that is straight, we want to go into maximum extension of elbow and wrist, maximum external rotation, and maximum flexion to bring the arm down to the level of the floor. And then with the cervical spine, we want to go into a chin tuck. So we want to go into retropulsion of the cervical spine. And then with the eyes, we're going to be looking down between our thighs to put the dura mater under tension. Then, from this position over here, now here's where we start getting into the dynamic movements. Everything is pushing in opposite direction. So as we're moving the leg, imagine that you are gliding the heel away from your body as the crown of your head is pushing in the opposite direction, and so is the palm. So we're going to go into hip flexion while maintaining that dorsiflexion inversion medial rotation. And then as we get down to the top, we're going to flex the hip and knee and go into eversion. So we're transitioning from dorsiflexion and inversion to dorsiflexion eversion as we come down. We're then going to switch hands, grab a hold of the opposite thigh, and then once we have a hold of the opposite tibia, we're going to go again into maximum extension of elbow and wrist, maximum external rotation, and bring the arm overhead as we straighten out the opposite leg. And with the opposite leg, we're mimicking what we just did with the other side. So we got maximum extension of the knee, pseudo-inversion by going into dorsiflexion by pointing the toes toward our head, and inversion by pointing the sole of our foot inward, and then maximum medial rotation. And again, opposites. So we have the opposite leg straight with the heel pushing away, opposite arm, maximum extension of elbow and wrist, maximum external rotation, and the crown of the head and the palm is pushing away. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go into hip flexion. Once we go into hip flexion, we're then going to go into knee flexion. And as we bring the knee into flexion, we're going to transition the foot from inversion to eversion. And then we're going to switch arms. And now I'm going to show you a little bit more fluidly. So I'm just going to go into the actual motion itself. So we are going into hip flexion. Once we get to the top, we're going to drive the knee down, go into eversion, switch arms, transition the bottom leg now into inversion and dorsiflexion. We're going to go into hip flexion again. And then as we bring the knee into flexion, we're transitioning to eversion, opposite arm and leg. Now the leg is in inversion. And same thing. So we just go into hip flexion, knee flexion, transition to eversion. Opposite arm goes into, we're pushing away. And with the opposite heel, we're pushing away, dorsiflexion, inversion. And here it is again real quick. So hip flexion, transition to eversion, bottom leg goes into inversion, go into hip flexion. As we go into knee flexion, transition into eversion. And this is how we would perform the general ELDOA to help alleviate symptoms related to spinal stenosis. If you have spinal stenosis, go ahead and give the general ELDOA a try. It is an absolutely terrific exercise. And that's pretty much it for today's video. That was just a tiny taste of what can be found in my members only section. If you enjoyed it, become a member for only $5 a month to get access to hundreds of member only videos.